Welcome to r/Entitled People, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story, about how the entitled mother accidentally admitted to violating her contract and possibly copyright law. The second story, proved to the manager that I was right and made her respect me. The third story, do not ignore your employees or at one point they will unite and bring you big problems. The first story is, entitled parent wants to be treated specially with a twist. In the United States, when someone is arrested, the law enforcer states, everything you say can and will be used against you, as part of the Miranda warning. Now, I'm not from the United States, but I love this part because it's 100% legit in my line of work. And the more our customers try to use BS excuses and sympathy baits, the more it works against them. Little backstory. I'm from Bulgaria and work for a major UK company through outsourcing. I'm part of a call center team which troubleshoots the landline phones and broadband, internet connection through the landline. I'm not going to go into any technicalities, but we can run line tests and either try to fix the problem over the phone, or we send technicians, engineers, to do it themselves. I work from Wednesday to Saturday. This is important for later. Cast is me. DD is decent dad. EM is entitled mother. M is manager. This happened yesterday, 13th of April 2019. It was a Saturday, a nice calm shift. I was doing some drawing and waiting for a call. We sometimes have gaps between calls, especially during weekends. Along came DD reporting no broadband connection. He stated it had been intermittent before, but this time it completely stopped. They hadn't called us before. This was the first time. This is also important for later. I ran a line test and checked some of my systems to see the nature and longevity of the intermittency. Indeed, the connection had been intermittent for some time, but on this day it was completely off. The test indicated a problem with the line outside the house. In cases like this, we work with the company Openreach, which is a daughter company of British Telecom, BT, and supports all BT lines by sending engineers. My company, along with half a dozen others, rents the BT lines and also relies on Openreach to fix them. In case of a line problem outside the house, the engineer doesn't need to visit the customer's house, and the given time slot is 3 working days within which they can fix it. So I told DD what the problem was, the 3 working days, and a potential compensation, starting from the day it was reported to the day it could be fixed, up until Wednesday. He said okay, but in the background I heard the one thing I didn't want to hear. No, it's not okay. I want to talk to them. Give me the phone. Guess who? Entitled mother took over the phone. She had one of those annoying whiny voices. So here comes EM and we start our conversation. EM, what do you mean it would take 3 working days? Me, it takes 3 working days for an idle engineer to be booked and to be sent. This doesn't mean it will be resolved on Wednesday, but it might. EM, no, we cannot wait for it. We want our broadband by Monday. It's 3 days from now. Me, I'm sorry, we cannot promise that. The time slot is 3 working days, and today is Saturday. If there's an idle engineer on Monday, he will come, but we cannot guarantee that. EM, yes you can. You're a huge company and you can send engineers around the clock. Me, actually we cannot. The Openreach engineers work Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock to 1800. For an external fault, the time slot is 3 working days. We can escalate a case for a 24-hour resolve, but only in a case of emergency. EM, this is an emergency. We need our broadband. Me, sorry to ask, but are you disabled? Because if you have a care alarm and your life depends on it, then we can speed up the process. There are people who have one of those attached to their landline, and it connects them to the nearest hospital. EM, no, I'm not, but my child is abroad on a high school trip, and we FaceTime every night. We will not be able to hear from him for days, not to mention we cannot stay without broadband for so long. Me, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's not up to our company. This is the time slot given by Openreach for regular customers. EM, in that case, make sure we're properly compensated. Me, of course you will be. I'm going to make sure I deduct the days between today and Wednesday, so you don't have to pay. We can pay loss of service for 3 working days from the day the issue is reported. EM, this is not enough. Or broadband has been faulty for weeks. I want a bigger compensation. Me, I'm sorry, but we can apply such only from the day it was reported onward, as per company policy. EM, in that case, I want to speak with your manager. Me, my manager will tell you the same thing. EM, I don't care. I want to hear it from him. Okay, she wants a manager. I went to one of them. M, a giant with a nice baritone voice and no SH demeanor, and a good friend of mine. I explained the case to him. He took over the call, for training purposes. I was connected to the call as well, but had to be silent. M, good afternoon, my name is M. and I'm one of the leading managers in the office. How may I help? EM, thank God I talked to you. This brat of yours doesn't want to help us. M, I'm sorry to hear that, but what seems to be the problem? EM, our broadband has not been working for weeks. He not only wants us to wait 5 days for it to be fixed, but doesn't want to give us proper compensation. We demand more than from today onward. M, well, this is what you'll get. We don't compensate losses for past days, if the problem was not reported previously as per company policy. EM, I don't care about your policies. We're a working couple and don't have time to call you. We demand to get at least 50 pounds. M, well, as much as we care about your services, we need you to report problems so we can fix them. EM, so you won't fix my broadband on Monday? What about my child? How am I going to contact him? M, how old is he? EM, 15, and on a school trip abroad. M, I'm sure he'll be able to handle himself. Simply send him a message that there's a connection failure and will be fixed within the next couple of days. EM, don't you tell me what to do with my precious boy. What about my compensation? M, we will compensate you between today and Wednesday. If the issue's not resolved from then onward, you will receive 8 pounds per delayed day. EM goes silent, then asks with a semi-defeated tone, don't you have any humanity? Yeah, she really said that. M, it's not a question of humanity, but of engineer availability. EM, fine. Come on, DD, we need to tell our customers you won't be able to sell them our products for some time. M, wait a minute, what do you mean? EM, we own a shop and need the broadband to run it. And here's the twist. As per contract, the services we provide are for domestic use only, and using them for running a business is considered a breach of it, which will lead to immediate termination. Not only that, my manager looked through their records after EM said those last words, and found out they had been missing payments and using the broadband to download copyrighted material, which is illegal and can be prosecuted. M, so what you're saying is that you're using domestic services we provide to run a business? EM, yes, what's the problem? M, we're going to have to terminate your contract and cancel your services. As per company policy, which is also written in your contract, the services we provide are for domestic use only, and it's considered a breach of our terms and conditions to use it for work. EM, but we've been your loyal customers for ages. M, I also see that you have frequently missed monthly payments and also downloaded copyright material a number of times. For the latter, you can and most likely will be prosecuted. Some incomprehensive chatter followed in the background. Then the call was cut off. We tried to call them back twice, no answer. Apparently they got scared and decided to hang up. My manager asked me to send him the account number. He said he would write to the cancellation and copyright infringement departments to handle EM and DD. He then wrote a note in their account stating that if they call again to be passed directly to cancellations. I've seen a case like this before. The customer had already been canceled and could not become a customer with our company anymore because he was using his broadband to run a business from home. Not only that, the engineer was not booked because I needed to get some contact details from DD, but EM intervened in our conversation. The moral of this story? Be careful what you say over the phone, or it can go worse. Much, much worse. The second story is the event that forced my manager to respect me and stop treating me as dirt. A couple of years ago, I had a part-time job with almost full-time hours in a local restaurant who had a sister restaurant in the city, about 20 minutes drive from where our restaurant was located. Normally, you were hired for only one restaurant, but if the sister property was low on staff or needed help, then we would work in the opposite restaurant. These were run by 2 different family members and both of whom had slightly different ways of doing things. One Friday evening, I come in for my 4 to close shift, normally around 11, but can differ depending on how busy or quiet it is, and was put on the cash desk. I had been working here for about 1.5 years at this stage, and was pretty good at keeping the float. A certain amount of money always left in the till. At the correct amount, or maybe 1 or 2 euros off, which was normal and expected. Side note, I was not allowed to count the cash or visas, etc. to check this float though. That was a manager's and supervisor's job, and was done when we come in the morning, around 6 p.m. and close. One of the managers took an instant disliking to me due to my at the time bubbly happy-go-lucky attitude, and tried to make things difficult for me. Let's call her Mary. Before 6 that day, Kay, a manager from the sister restaurant, was filling in for a supervisor and counted the cash float, which was correct. Once Mary came in, Kay hopped straight on the bus and headed home. Later that evening, once we were closed and all our cleaning jobs were done, I was sitting down with the owner having a cup of tea, while Mary was counting the float. Out of nowhere, Mary calls me over and starts berating and screaming at me that I lost 100 euros, as her float was down by that much. I asked had she checked all the Visa receipts, vouchers. Human error can lead to miscounting. The cash in the safe and underneath the coin holder in the till, as Kay tends to put money under there instead of the safe. Got yelled at even more by Mary because I know nothing, and can't even manage to do one simple thing right, and got told by the owner to just head on home. No harm done as these things happen, and to tell my coworker to double check the float in the morning as I was opening Saturday morning. Turned to Saturday morning, and once we had all our morning jobs done prior to opening, I asked my coworker was the float correct. She said she saw that Mary was down last night, but that she was correct this morning. She goes on to say that as Kay was there yesterday, she checked underneath the coins in the till, and lo and behold, there were two 50-euro notes sitting pretty. I explained the full story to coworker and got her to ring the owner and tell him that it was correct, and we waited until Mary came back in at 6 that evening. I made a passing remark to her once she started working along the lines of, "Oh Mary, by the way, coworker found that 100 euros that you couldn't find last night. It was underneath the coin holder in the till, as Kay was here yesterday, just so you know where to look if she does the float before you in the future." It was the most satisfying thing in my life, as with the way I phrased it, it seemed to come across as if I was just keeping her up to date on what happened the previous night. But she and I both knew that I was subtly pointing out that had she listened to me, it would have been correct. After that, she learned that I actually pay attention to what's going on, and knew how to handle things, so she lost her contemptuous attitude towards me. Made life much easier for the last 1.5 years I worked there. And the last story is, department concerns ignored for almost a year. Everyone quits. I worked for a company for nearly 9 years, and everything was fine for the first 7 or 8. People were paid fairly and treated well. Then the company became successful and much bigger, and a lot more corporate, C-level roles were introduced, a board of directors, big pool of middle management, etc. For the last year, myself and the other seniors in my department, and as a note, the only department out of 5 that brought in any money during the pandemic, and the only department with retainers that bring in consistent revenue for the business, have been begging to get more people in, as the workload is too much for us, but we kept hearing constant excuses about there being no budget, etc. Yet another department which isn't bringing in any revenue is getting new hires constantly, as that was the new shiny department that the CTO likes, and is trying to push. Unsuccessfully, I might add. So about 3 months ago, we all, my entire department, started talking amongst each other, found new jobs, and all quit within the span of about 3 weeks. They tried to coax us to stay with promises of more money, but we all said no, and that being unhappy with more money wouldn't solve the problem. Now they're forced to bring in contractors that cost them way more than the entire department, and any new hires we needed would have cost them. I'm the last one in, with my last day being the end of this week, and I'm witnessing the complete and utter mess that these contractors are causing. They're also trying to recruit new people, but the entire department quitting within a couple weeks is sending up massive red flags to candidates they approach, and they're having a hard time finding people. I played nice initially and did a bunch of handover documentation, as there are still 1 or 2 people in other departments who rely on us who I like and feel sorry for. But now if I'm approached, I just go, "Sorry, I'm leaving in a couple of days and I can't start any new work now," as I wouldn't be able to complete it before I go. I would hope they learn from this, but somehow I doubt it. Thank you for your likes, comments, and subscriptions. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.